Marhaba again, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome to yet another episode of the F Trail podcast. My name is Freddy, and this here is Erin, whom you know from various travels around the world. We are now at the Mirani Fort in Old Muscat, in a place close to Sidab. Is that right?
Close to Sidab, yeah.
And it's a great location for this particular episode, and we're very happy to be bringing you this from here. In case you hear some music and drums in the background, well, just know that it's one of the services this location offers. And the reason we're talking to you from the fort has got a lot to do with learning, education, and knowledge. Right here with me is Erin, as you know, who's been around the world, traveling, writing, making friends all over the place. And Erin is a teacher. And,
yes.
Do you want to tell us a bit about how you use the outdoors and certain handpicked locations to enhance learning for your students, Erin?
Sure, I can say that. As you said, I really believe that taking students outside of the classroom is a great way to learn. I think sometimes it's even better. And coming to the fort is just one example. I have not brought my students here yet, but I have come here 3 times. This is my 3rd time. And listening to the, traditional music and singing, the dancing in the background, I can...
Which you can hear already.
It's really nice. And out of the 3 times, twice, they've had music. And I like that about the fort is that they're always doing different events. They always have, whether it's an exhibition or talks. That's what's really nice. And I think, one thing to mention is that the fort's been open now since April of 2024.
Oh, that recent?
Yeah, so just about a year they opened it up to the public. And to be honest, I waited almost a year to come visit the fort because I thought, there are so many forts here. And I'm really glad that I have come here. And speaking of field trips, I think this is another great spot for a field trip, but that'll be for another time. However, I can talk about the field trips that I've been on if you want to know.
Yes, that was going to be another question of mine. Just before we get into that, you mentioned you've been here thrice already. What were the other 2 reasons?
Curiosity.
Oh, right. There you go. There you have it. Knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge. And also, I remember they were doing some events during Eid. So I remember thinking, let's go and check out. And we got to see dancing.
Yes, we did.
And singing, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. So is this going to be one of your locations to get your students?
I would like that. I would really like it. The thing is, we either have to go at night or wait till it gets a little cooler, because I think for the students, it's going to be hot. Right. So let's see.
I would think, an evening trip here would be quite nice. We are here and it's just past 8 o'clock in the evening, and the weather's quite nice.
It is.
There's a nice breeze. It's not too warm, but it also is just the beginning of summer, so you might want to keep that in mind. And if I can ask, and what were some of the other field trips that you've taken your students out on? So
far since I've been here in Muscat, I've gone to the National Museum with a couple of groups of students, 4 different groups of students. That was just a chance for, them most of them had not been to the National Museum. And what I do is, for example, teach English for specific purposes. But when these field trips, I give the students questions that they have to find the answers to. And then we talk about that the next class, and then they each have to share their experience about that place.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so the National Museum was great. All the groups loved it. And then recently I just took a group to Matra, went to the fish souk, veggie souk, and then the other side of the souk, and we had a ball. And it was great because, again, students had to find answers to questions, but then they were talking to a really animated local man who gave us, sardines and dates to try, and then coffee, and then Omani coffee. And then a couple tourists came by and a tour guide, and this tour guide was talking with the students. And then a couple of the students had a chance to ask a few questions to the tourists. And I think right there, I mean, you just can't learn that stuff in the classroom.
So is that experience something that you feel the students are very sort of chuffed about? Do you get the feeling that they've done these things before, or is it new to them? How's their response to the whole experience?
Well, for example, the museum, I remember a couple of the students showed me these videos that they took of the museum, and they just loved it. And most of them had not been to the museum. Now, with the souk, I mean, Matra souk, of course, is so well known, and my students said that they've come here before. Some of the students have gone to the other part of the souk, where the clothing is, the luban, frankincense. But one student said this is the first time he'd been to the fish market. And then he said he'd like to go back to the fish market, one day with his family. So I think too, it's probably a different experience because, for example, I'm going somewhere else later this week with students, and I've been to that place twice. But even for me going the second time, it was still a different experience than the first time.
Oh,
so
really?
So I think
What made that happen?
well, first of all, I think just because I hadn't been there in 5 years, that was one thing. And you just notice things differently, I think.
Right.
And when I went 5 years ago, I was thinking, I don't know what I did 5 years ago because I don't remember half of this stuff here when I was there. But I think with the students, it's probably the same. Maybe because they had to find answers such as, how much is a kilo of garlic, how much is a half kilo of eggplant. And then it was one moment that really stands out in my mind with the students is they were telling me the difference between Omani garlic and then other garlic and why Omani garlic is more expensive. And then one of the students then was talking about the eggs. Oh, miss, these eggs are from Oman. These eggs are from India. These eggs are this. And I'm like, they were talking about like...
How do they know that?
They
just
said
by looking at it?
They've just learned it and they know it. And they even said because for the Omani eggs, there were, brown, then a light brown, and then this, and then the one student, and I just thought they were joking, to be honest. I just thought, okay, it's the end of the trip. And it was so lovely to see them so animated, explaining, no, it's because of this one is more expensive because it's special for this. And I was listening, but teachers were students, right? So they were explaining, and then I looked at the tag and they were right, Oman, India, and it was just so nice with them. And you could tell, I mean, you can always tell people's body language and expressions. And I remember the animated man that we met in the souk, he was after sardines and dates and coffee, then he brought out a shark to show us, and he was wagging the shark's tail. Anyway, he was telling us tale, in Arabic. But
I was going to ask, when you said animated man, I mean, what was this? I mean, was he on adrenaline or?
I think he was sharing like an old tale, right? Because at one point I look over and all the students had their phones out recording him.
Really?
And I said, what's he saying? And because Arabic, and my Arabic is, well, a few greetings. We won't, well, that's another topic. But they said that he was telling some kind of story, like an old tale. And so it was just, so it was just so nice to see that. And I think, the next group, as I said, we're going somewhere this week. And then also I took a group to a hotel, and we went on a hotel tour. And for them, because, being in hospitality, it's great for students to get information. It's one thing to show a picture, right? It's one thing to show a picture or show a video.
Absolutely.
But when you're in a space and walking around, and even for me, I was just fascinated on this hotel tour because we got to see everything. We got to see the ins and the outs of like the back, that you don't ever see. As guests at a hotel, you just, you do your thing. You check in, you check out, you have your food, you go do whatever. But, to see...
Back of house is what I believe they call it.
Yeah, okay, back of house. Right. So something I learned, but I don't remember. But it's just nice to experience that, for the students to experience that, for them to ask questions. And it's just also a nice chance to show students different opportunities and show them different types of jobs that they could maybe have. And then I'm actually The following week, I'm actually taking another different group to a hotel. So I think for a different hotel tour, and I think these experiences are hands down better than anything else. I mean, you were a student once. I mean, I always looked forward to field trips, whether it was wherever we went. I always loved going on field trips because I think there is just something about them getting outside of the classroom, not reading the textbook. I mean, talking to tourists and talking to people that work at a hotel to ask them questions and just getting that confidence. And it started, I've been teaching for about 13 years. And when I was in China, we used to take our students to go volunteer. And it was on the weekends. And one place was at an orphanage and the other place was at a hearing impaired school for children. And my students, it was a chance for them to help others, a chance for them to practice their English with foreigners, and a chance for them to meet other students from different universities, because the different expat teachers and Chinese teachers would come from different universities. So it was just a really nice way to get together with people. And then the nice thing about that was then you saw those students leading their own groups to go volunteer.
Yeah.
So that was just such a rewarding experience. And then I remember we had one student, sorry, I'm kind of backtracking from back then, but then we had one student from there who organized an event around Christmas time. And then she said, the money that we raise, I want to give it to the school. So it's just this heartwarming thing of you can't learn that in the classroom. I mean, again,
no, you can't.
You can, in the class, you can learn about, in a textbook, right? Or online, why is it good for, why is it good for, you could read a story about volunteering and why it's good to help other people and this and that. But when you're actually there doing something, I firmly believe that is just something.
Oh no,
Something
I fully
else.
agree.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree. And the age groups of these kids that
they're what?
they were
18 to 25, 18. Some of them are even like late 20s.
And I also think it's the perfect age to get them out and get them engaging with the community. And of course you don't want an 18, 19-year-old stuck in a classroom,
Right.
What's the value you think that comes out of this sort of learning?
I think the value is just interacting with other people. And I remember we went to the other part of the souk, and I remember one of the students, she tried to talk to some tourists and say hello, and they just kept walking, which is fine. But because she was but because she was able to talk to a few tourists prior at the fish souk, I think that sort of gave her a little bit of confidence to then maybe just reach out to those other people. And I told her, who cares? It's fine. At least you tried. And I think it's another way of we're teaching English, for specific purposes, but it's just another different way of practicing. And also, I think, what was your question again, Freddie? I'm listening to you, but what's about the value, right?
The value,
the value.
Yeah. Well, what's the value that they get from it? Because it's, excuse me, it's important that they learn using different forms, different ways, different methods, going out to different locations, and this form of learning with your field trips that you do with the students. Of course, they will do field trips at different locations, and what's the common denominator there in terms of value for them? Value for the students.
You mean at each location?
Maybe not in each location.
Value.
Maybe I'm not articulating myself.
No, you are. I'm just, teacher brain.
Or perhaps what's the common goal from visiting these different?
I think the common goal is just to get outside of the classroom. To be honest, I think just breaking it up, because sometimes students act one way in the classroom, but then when we're out, it's totally different. And I think part of it is also, they also gain, a lot of us, myself included, when I go home, I don't I haven't been to many states back home because I usually travel outside, and I usually,
Sure.
so a lot of us don't know things even in our area maybe. So I think
Sure.
for the students, it's a chance for them to learn about their country and learn about, and to also just see.
That's a very good point. That's a very good
I
point.
think just to see where the tourists are going, and okay, the tourists are coming to the souk, and the tourists are coming to a museum, and all these tourists are at these hotels, and also I think, speaking of hotels, like doing different hotel visits, let's say, I think it's great for the students because a lot of them that want to work in hotels, they can like talk to the staff, and then they can kind of see for themselves of like, oh, I remember once we went to a hotel and they said, "Oh, that kitchen is really big," And I think part of it is to just also, you have one idea of how a place is, and then when you actually get there and see it. So I think it's a little bit of both, of just a break from the classroom,
Sure.
a break from the textbook,
Sure.
and a break for the teacher. But it's also, I notice the students just kind of bond when they're there as well, and I just notice that their appreciation for it, afterward, and just being there and watching the students, for example, at the museum. I was watching a couple of the students and I took a photo of them because they're taking videos and they're so into it.
Sure.
And then, for example, the museum, one of the questions is, what's your favorite room? And then they have to tell the class why. And just for them, oh, I like this room, miss, with the, and then it's just another way of just getting them to learn the English as well. And also, when you ask them about Oman, sometimes I do a thing in class of name 5 wadis, name the best place in Oman, name 5 museums, and sometimes they can't. They don't. They can name, that museum that we went to. Okay, and so sometimes it's also just good for them for knowledge, because not all the time, right? And we know this, right? When you're working somewhere, not every tourist, they're not going to interact with tourists all the time, but you never know. Off chance, somebody might come and say, hey, be talking to somebody, and then just say, oh, hey, where do you think we should go today? We have 24 hours in Muscat. Oh, sure. I don't know, so I think it's just, I don't even know if I've answered the question properly.
No, you have.
But I think the value, it's also just the experience and the chance of giving them a chance. And I think also just for them to see other people out, just to see what opportunities are out there. Sure. And, again, like they saw tour guides, and then they can talk with the general manager and HR when we go to some of these hotels, and just learning at the museum, learning the history about Oman. And, the National Museum has this great video, right, about the history, and the students love that. And I think coming to this fort would be another fantastic lesson, because you've got the history, you've got the, some Portuguese architecture, and just learning about this history, and just for them to see. It's got a beautiful view of Al Alam Palace.
It does.
And this is just, again, I'm looking around here of, it doesn't get much better than this, coming to a fort like this and seeing, and and I think in a different setting. And, here, this fort, Mirani Fort, they have a cafe, and I've tried their frankincense coffee. It's quite nice. So, even just to get them out.
Well, there's one reason for you.
One reason I come here is to just try the different coffee. No, but it's just all these little experiences. And I think, too, it's also a chance for them to just learn, talk, ask, and just to be out. And I think, again, just sometimes it is just literally, Freddie, because sometimes, let's be honest, a Thursday class, okay, guys, let's get out, let's go. Or a Wednesday 2:00 class when everyone is checked out. Okay, guys, we're getting out. So sometimes it is literally just, let's just get out and get some air.
I think you're right. And you've actually answered that question way better than I expected, because there was some really, really good information there. And also, given what the students are doing, they are at the end going to be moving into hospitality, and experiences like these, field trips here, field trips there, going out, interacting with people, talking to tourists, people not of your nation. Getting to know more about your own country, the very place that you live in, builds confidence, enhances verbal skills, articulation skills. It enhances so much. So in terms of value, I think you're absolutely right, and I'm I'm sure you've got many other locations up your sleeve.
Yes, I do. And when you said, speaking of added value, when especially at the souk, for example, to find those answers, they had to ask, like, how much is this? I mean, some places are different. They can just read about it, but exactly like you were just saying, that's so key is that, right, builds confidence because, oh gosh, now I have to talk to different people and ask them the prices of this.
It gets them out of their comfort zone, and their best friend, Frankie Fear. I always say Fear is your best friend, and they've got to overcome it. I mean, let me ask you, it probably takes a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of organization to get these trips up and going, and I'm sure you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you. I hope. I don't know.
I'm sure you are, otherwise they wouldn't have happened.
We're not in the classroom, so that's good.
So, let me ask you, has it ever been a challenge getting this done, getting these field trips done? In your experience, wherever they were, whether it's been here in China, in Uganda, or any of the places that you've been that I cannot remember, is it ever a challenge? Or
I will say, to be honest, there's one challenge. I've been trying to get somewhere for 3 months now,
right?
And due to some other issues out of my hand, it's been difficult. And in fact, the place that I want to go, the one group of students that I'm taking this week on a field trip, they actually brought up this place and said, can we go there? Can we go there? And I said, guys.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Okay, so it's something the students want to do.
They also I have not brought it up to the students ever. This place that I want to go to, I've just brought it up with, some other people.
Right.
And it just has not worked. And then funny enough, when I told them where we're going to go this week, and then they asked about this other place, and I said, funny you've mentioned this, because I've been working on this for 3 months, and because of reasons out of my control, it's not possible. And then they were just, oh, no problem, we'll figure it out. And so that's been a challenge.
It must be quite a significant location, this place that you're looking at taking the students to. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to work out. It will work out. I mean, given the passion that I've seen, in you wanting to just take the students out to the world, and bring learning to them in that way. That's very, very noble, very, very noble of you. From all these trips, which would you say is your most memorable?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, I'd say they're all, I know this is going to be like everyone's answer, right? But they're all memorable in their own way.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I've taken different groups to different places. So I think for me, always memorable, what stands out is just the students' reactions when we're out.
Yeah.
I remember at the hotel, one student, Miss, when my internship finishes, I'm going to work here. I'm going to apply here. And then we're at the museum and then watching the students take the videos. Miss, look, this is my favorite room. This is my favorite room. And then watching the students reading about the information. And then at the souk, like with the phones out, talking to the animated man.
Right.
And then just the appreciation. And then I remember we went to the other part of the souk last week, and then, one of the students, guys, come. I know this good halwa shop. Let's go. And so, he's taking us there, and he's talking to the shop owner, and, okay, I've got these people. I'm like, you're our tour guide now. So I think each one is memorable. And this group that I'm taking this week, they haven't gone out yet. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let's give them a chance. And so I asked them, I said, do you guys want to go out? Yes, miss, please change. Let's change this. So I said, okay.
They've obviously heard.
They've heard it. They've
seen
and so they've been out. And so I thought, because I haven't had this group in quite a while, so I thought, okay, I gave them the option and they said yes. I gave them 2 options and they chose the one option. So I said, okay, we'll do it. And so I think mostly is just the student reactions and watching them in their element, or just learning. And again, a few of them last week, it was just so lovely watching them talking to the tourists and trying to think of, you could tell they were kind of thinking about how to ask them, and they just did it. And it was really good for them. And then they just, like you said, they gain confidence, because eventually, no matter what job you have, everyone has to go on an interview. So regardless, as you say, this is just one skill they're going to gain that they will now be, because they don't know who they're going to have an interview with. And now they can talk about maybe an experience of something in school outside of class, hopefully. But that's just another benefit of everyone will eventually have to speak at an interview.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as you've just explained over there, I just picked on the fact that the value is in the experience. And it doesn't matter who it is, whether you are a novice, an apprentice, somebody experienced, somebody world traveled, you are where you are, and you determine the value of your experiences through the experiences you've been. One last question.
Okay.
Where to next?
Where to next? For the next...
For the field trips, yes.
Okay, so officially, we're going to another museum.
Oh, another museum.
Yeah, going to Beit Elzebeir. The students, that's what they chose this week. And then next week, another hotel visit with another group. And then a few selected students will get to go to the book fair, which is coming up. So that it'll be a mixed group. It'll be students who have been awarded something, so they get to go to the book fair. Yeah. Okay. So going there, and then I'm just going to keep working when students suggest to the Opera House. And as I've mentioned, I'd love to bring the students back here to the fort. So that will be another one that I'll work on. And I think I would, and also we've got galleries, we've got coffee shops, and I think no matter where you go, it's an experience in itself.
It's the experience.
It's the experience. Right. And I know that sometimes I think, should it matter which group it is, if it's chefs or waiters or receptionists? And then I thought, no, it doesn't really matter in the sense, because it's the experience. They're practicing their English, and it's beneficial regardless. So I think a gallery, a cafe, even a restaurant, even my thought was to, Matra, right? We see so many tourists and so many big tour buses everywhere. And even just coming here and seeing some tourists, my thought is to just ask a few of them, hey, I've got some students here. Do you mind if they talk to you for a few minutes? So my thought would be eventually even just going up and down Matra, the Corniche area, and just showing the students, look at the tourists, look where they're going. They're at these juice shops. They're at the halwa shops. They're at, restaurants, well-known restaurants, and just to show them, just for them to see. So ideally, my plan would then be to take them to these places, for them to eventually say, plan my trip to Muscat, so they can then, you should go here first. That is my ideal, ultimate plan. At the end of it all, they can say, because they don't just Google it and translate, they've actually been there, and then they can say, why would you recommend this place?
Sure. Yeah. At the end of it, it's a trail, just like our podcast. I mean, it is the F Trail. So here's Erin keeping the trail alive, and you heard it, folks. We've got the Opera House, we've got museums, we've got galleries, we've got waterfronts, we've got coffee shops, and
fort, of course.
What? We've got the forts, and guess what? That's not a tour. That's learning. So if any of you would like to study, learn, get educated that way, and before you get into the industry, or as you're getting into the industry, follow Erin. She is on Instagram, and we will leave the details in the comments below. And if there's anything else, as usual, that you'd like to ask us, that you'd like to tell us, and if there's any other suggestions that you've got on what we could do to make these episodes better, please let us know in the comments. And if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. It enables us to get to know you as well. Any last words to words of encouragement to our viewers, Erin, before we go?
I just encourage. Well, I want to tell you, you are more than welcome to join us anytime with your students as well.
I'd be very happy to.
You know, I always tell that to the teachers because they'll say, "Can we come with you?" You're welcome to come. You know, so anytime.
There you go. So it doesn't matter what course you're studying or what qualification you are doing. If you're a student, it's open to you.
Yeah.
So until next time, adios, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.